Hi, fourth grade. Hopefully you watched the Watercolors 101 so you know what we're doing with watercolors and you've got your materials ready and you're set to go. So in your robot assignment, part of your assignment was to draw your robot nice and big. So mine is on by a 9 by 12 sheet of paper that was from your art kit, same size as you have. And I drew it nice and big. It goes top to bottom. And the reason why is because we're going to paint them today. So when you paint with watercolors, you need to go slow and keep it simple. So I am not going to paint everything all at once because that is going to end up in a big mess. What I'm going to start with is some of the smaller areas, and I want them closer to my watercolor palette. So if I want to paint this arm, I'm going to have it close to it. If I want to paint this arm, I'm going to turn my paper upside down and paint it so that it is close to my watercolor palette because I don't want to accidentally drip watercolor onto my paper. So I am going to start with this arm because he is close, and I'm going to make it orange, or at least the kind of stretch out part orange. So I'm going to swirl my brush 1, 2, 3 times in my water. Again, I'm not going to tap it against my cup because that takes the water off my brush. I'm going to swirl 3 times, 1, 2, 3 times inside my paint. Then I'm going to pick it up. Then I'm going to very carefully paint on my paper. Now, I have a lot of water on my brush, and that's okay right now because it's going to soak into my paper. But I want to make sure that I do not pick up my paper. Because if I were to pick up my paper right now, what's going to happen is that paint is going to run all over everything. So I'm just being very careful. I'm spreading that little bit of paint around. I'm going to come down here and move my document camera because it's easier than moving my computer and my paper right now. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to paint that same orange area down here. Now, I have not added any water or any paint to my brush yet. You'll notice I am coming back up here and I'm picking up some of that excess and bringing it down here. That is because I don't want to end up with a hole in my paper right here from too much water. Now I am going to paint the center of my dots, that same orange color, just to kind of keep it the same. Give it a little bit of fun. And I'm going to paint the part of my wheel down here. Now, as I said, be careful when you pick your paper up when it is wet. I do need to rotate my paper because I want to do the same orange over here. I'm going to very carefully pick it up just a little bit and rotate it. I am not picking it up and turning it around. I left it on my table and I just rotated it. Now I'm going to take a little bit of water and add it to my brush. So I'm going to dip once and that's it. And then I'm going to paint in my paint palette just a little bit, and then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to start painting my other arm. Again, we are adding very, very little paint and very, very little water because the more paint and water you add, the greater the chance you have of ripping your paper or having a messy paper, one or the other. Okay. Now, I want to paint this dot right here in my foot, so I'm just going to carefully paint that dot. And then the other spot that I want to make orange is right here. I want to make this handle orange. Now I'm going to pick up a little bit of the excess water I have on my arm. I'm just going to very carefully paint inside that area. Now this is why when I told you to do your drawing, to keep it simple and make things fairly big. Because if it is simple, it's a whole lot easier to paint than if it is ginormous. Or sorry, if it is super detailed. Okay, so next, I'm going to move it on up a little bit, and I'm going to paint this bigger area here. So I'm going to swirl 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in my water, and then I want yellow. So I'm going to do 3 swirls. 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to paint this bigger area. Now, notice my paint's getting lighter. It's okay. 1, 2, 3 swirls in my paintbrush or in my paint palette. But now I'm noticing that I need a little bit more water. I'm going to dip once dip once, and then, oh, my paint moves a whole lot easier. I can use the side of my brush, just move it around. Gonna get just a little bit more paint. If you notice your paint is not moving around, that means that you need more water. Need more water. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stop this video, and I will see you at the very, very end of my video so you can see how mine turns out, and then we'll talk about your assignment. So I will see you in the next video.